This is about your house. God says something was hidden inside it that needed to be exposed. Michael begs you to open this now before it's erased. Do not look away, because the first thing you feel in your chest is the key turning even before you find it. The air itself carries a hush, like your home is holding its breath and waiting for you to notice the one thing you have stepped past 1,000 times. You are not late and you are not too early, because this is the exact minute that the hidden thing chooses to rise into the light. Your hallway remembers every footstep and every heavy night you made it through. It remembers a small tap in the wall that did not make sense and a hairline crack that traveled like a river under paint. Something placed there long ago has been calling your name without a sound. You walk and the lights dim for a heartbeat and the quiet grows warm, like a secret hand on your shoulder. A scent of rain lives where no window is open and the floor knows where to carry you without a map. Archangel Michael says to trust the pull inside your ribs, because it is the arrow that never misses. You stand by the frame that holds your oldest photograph and the glass feels cooler than the room. Behind it the wall looks normal and harmless, and yet the paint seems younger than it should be. A memory rises of someone telling you not to worry about small things, and you understand that small things are the doorways to everything. Type Amen to get blessing 333. You find the box cutter you use for packages and your hand is steady, like you trained for this moment all your life. You make a careful line along the edge of the frame and the wood gives with a soft, tired sound. Something slips and you catch it and you feel the weight of a letter that has waited longer than patience should allow. The envelope is brown and the corners are rounded by time. Your name is written the way someone writes when the truth is heavier than the paper. You breathe and the room breathes with you as if the walls have lungs. You slide a finger under the seal and it opens like it was never meant to stay closed forever. Inside is a page and a key tied to a thread the color of old gold. The ink has faded but the words are alive in a way that feels like today. The page tells of a promise made over your life that could not be stolen by envy or buried by delay. It speaks of a gift placed in your house when you were not looking, because protection works best when it is not seen. It says the key belongs to the thing you think is only furniture. Type Amen to get blessing 444. A chest sits under the stairs where dust gathers like sleeping snow. You have wiped it before and used it like a table and never once felt it call your name the way it does now. Your fingertips find the small hidden notch that never mattered until this hour. The key turns and the lock answers like a voice returning home. You lift the lid and the hinges whisper a story older than the house itself. Inside is a layered quilt of papers and photographs and something wrapped in soft cloth. You open the cloth and find a small journal with a blue ribbon tucked into the middle. On the cover an initial is pressed in silver that looks untouched by years. You feel a cord tugging from your heart to the ribbon like a line cast into clear water. You open to the page and the handwriting is calm and certain. It tells you that heaven marked your doorway and set a lamp where no storm could blow it out. It says fear tried to rent a room here and never found a key. Type Amen to get blessing 555. You read about moments that almost broke you and how your perseverance stitched the torn places stronger than before. You read that the ache you carry is proof of great capacity and not of emptiness. You realize a map is being drawn in your hands and the legend matches your life. Between the pages there is a folded square of parchment thin as breath. You unfold it and a simple drawing appears, the outline of your house with symbols resting in corners like quiet guards. A small circle glows faintly at the place where the sun rests in late afternoon. You walk to that corner and kneel the way you kneel to tie a shoe. The baseboard has one nail that does not match the others and your eye sees it now like a bell hears a strike. You lift it with the tool you keep for stubborn things and the board yields like a friend. Behind it rests a velvet pouch that seems new in a room that is not new. You open the pouch and find a slender pendant shaped like a shield. On the back your name is engraved the way a vow is engraved in a heart. Type Amen to get blessing 777. You hold the pendant and it hums like the spine of a song. Warmth rises up your wrist and into your chest and the room feels brighter without the lights changing. The hum settles into peace and the corners of the house relax like shoulders after a long day. The journal says the shield answers only to your touch and quiets the noise that never belonged to you. It says the shield sharpens your hearing for the truth and dulls the echo of old fear. It says the shield is not for show because real protection does its work in silence. A line near the end is written darker than the rest. It says that time has tried to erase this message and failed because messages like this do not fade. It says when you are ready you will read the final paragraph and know what to do without a doubt. You turn the page and there is a small pressed feather that refuses to crumble. Under it are 4 words that land softly and change everything. They read your house is consecrated. Type Amen to get blessing 888. The words do not shout and yet every room hears them. You feel the pantry remember laughter and the bedroom remember rest and the doorway remember welcomes. A soft breeze moves through with no window open and the scent is jasmine and new rain. You touch the shield to the doorframe and it shivers like a tuning fork. The sound is not loud and yet your bones drink it in. Something inside you that has been waiting stands up and takes its place. Archangel Michael says your house is not a cage and not a museum and not a battlefield because it is a sanctuary with your name on it. He says this shield is the visible sign of a victory already won in silence. He says the hidden thing is not money or gossip or rumor because it is authority and it is already yours. You walk from room to room and the floorboards do not creak the same way. They sound sure under your feet like agreement. You thank the walls for their keeping and they answer in stillness. Type Amen to get blessing 999. On the kitchen shelf sits the blue cup you never noticed twice. You lift it and the inside rim hides a tiny mark shaped like a star. You realize the cup has been a sign all along because ordinary things carry holy messages when the time comes. You open the back door and the single oak tree watches like a faithful friend. A bird lands and lingers longer than a bird usually lingers and the light rests on the leaves like a promise. Your breath steadies and your shoulders feel like someone put them in the right place. You remember the nights when the house felt loud with unsaid things. You remember thinking that maybe the walls were holding a story you were not invited to read. Now the story opens like a window and the air is clear and warm. You place the pendant where your heart beats strongest. The beat and the hum fall into the same rhythm and the quiet inside you becomes bright. You understand that what tried to erase this moment has already failed. Type Amen to get blessing 1111. There is another folded page under the journal's back cover and you open it with care. It holds a list of simple actions that feel like keys in a ring. They are not hard and they carry a weight that does not tire the hand. The first tells you to place the journal in the chest again after you read because what is living will live without being watched. The second tells you to walk the boundary of your rooms with gratitude like chalk lines that never wash away. The third tells you to speak your name in each doorway so that every threshold learns your light again. You do these things and the house responds like a choir. You stand by the window and your reflection looks settled and ready. You are not chasing anything because everything you need is already present. Under the list are 4 more words written in a careful hand. They read "Do not fear delay." You feel time relax its grip and you breathe like someone who finally remembers the song. Type Amen to get blessing 1212. The afternoon leans toward evening and your rooms gather a golden calm. You place the shield on the mantle where sunlight can reach it at least once a day. The metal captures a warm glow and holds it like a hearth in miniature. You notice the old clock that always ran a little slow now keeping time without effort. You notice the small draft near the stair is gone like a door was quietly closed inside the wall. You notice your own face resting without having to tell it to rest. You feel a sweep of release move from room to room. It passes like a friendly wind that carries away dust without lifting a speck into your eyes. It leaves clarity in its path the way a tide leaves smooth sand. You circle back to the first photograph and set the frame gently in its place. The space behind it no longer tugs at you because it is empty of secrets. You are full of answers you did not know you were allowed to carry. Type Amen to get blessing 2222. Night approaches and the house glows like it learned a new language and speaks it without effort. You stand in the center of your living room and there is no echo of old stories that never fit you. There is only a steady hum that agrees with your pulse. You pass your hand over the chest and close the lid softly. The lock settles without weight and the wood is warm as if the box itself is grateful for being understood. You know exactly where the key will live and you do not feel the need to hide it again. Archangel Michael says your readiness opened a door that the world could not find. He says your courage wrote the last line of a letter that started before you were born. He says you will see quiet confirmations in small ways and that small ways are not small at all. You turn off one lamp and then the next and the dark that arrives is friendly and close. In that gentleness you sense the last layer lifting, the thin film of doubt that used to cover your mornings. It dissolves without drama and leaves the surface of your life clear. Type Amen to get blessing 1010. You drift toward sleep but you are not tired in the old way. You are settled like a book placed on the right shelf. Your house breathes with you and the walls do not keep secrets anymore. The shield on the mantel glints once like an eye that never sleeps. A deep quiet settles in and you know your dreams will be clean like fresh water. You give thanks without words because gratitude is bigger than words tonight. Morning will arrive and you will wake inside a home that knows your real name again. The rooms will not ask for performance and you will not give it. You will simply live and living will be enough. The letter, the key, the journal, and the pendant have done their work. They have returned authority to where it belongs and shut the window where the cold used to sneak in. They will remain but they will not require your worry. Type Amen to get blessing 1313. You make tea in the kitchen and steam cranes up like a gentle banner. The blue cup with the star sits ready like a companion. You carry it to the table that has heard every story and agrees with this one most of all. You open the journal one last time and place a small note of your own inside. You write that the house is in order and the heart is in order and you know the difference now. You close the cover and it feels like placing a seal on calm water. You stand in the doorway and let the morning light mark your shoulders like a kind hand. You say out loud that this home is a sanctuary and that your life is a sanctuary. The words fit the air like they were made for it. Archangel Michael says this message arrived at the only time it could arrive and that is why it could not be erased. He says you have opened what needed opening and nothing important has been lost. He says walk forward and let the walls echo joy because joy knows the way better than fear ever did. Type Amen to get blessing 1717. ILLL77L. By afternoon you will move a chair and find the exact groove where it belongs. You will straighten a book and feel a soft yes in your palm. You will wipe the window and see your future through glass that no longer fogs. People may visit and they will feel it without needing to name it. They will sit quieter than usual and speak slower because peace makes room for words to arrive whole. They will leave feeling lighter and you will not need to explain. The evening will fold back over the roof and you will hear a new silence that sounds like presence. You will rest inside it like a hand inside a glove. You will look around and know that nothing is missing. The hidden thing inside your house was never trying to hide from you. It was waiting for the minute your heart could carry it without fear. The minute arrived and you answered and everything changed. Type Amen to get blessing 2323. From this day forward your floorboards will keep the memory of brave footsteps. Your doorframe will remember your name and repeat it to every hour that enters. Your windows will hold light like a promise and return it to you after every night. Your house has been speaking and now you hear it clearly. It says you are safe and chosen and not late. It says what tried to erase you has erased itself. You breathe and the rooms breathe with you and it is easy. You move and the space makes way like water for a boat that belongs to the river. You sleep and wake and both feel like home. The letter is back in its place and the chest is closed and the shield keeps quiet watch. Your story has no hole where the secret used to be. Your story is whole and the house agrees and heaven agrees. Type Amen to get blessing 2024. The house wakes with you and the light drops into each room like a gentle anchor. You move slower than usual because something deep is aligned and does not need rushing. Your hands trace the edges of the hallway and the wood answers with quiet warmth. You set a cup on the table and it sounds like a bell made of calm. A thin ray of sun rests on the shield and holds steady as if time is obeying your peace. Every corner seems to breathe and none of them are hiding. You open the windows and the air that arrives feels like a friend who knows the story. Dust becomes gold in the beam and settles without insistence. The house agrees with your pace and your pace agrees with your heart. You press your palm to the doorframe again and speak your name with steady certainty. The sound moves along the walls like a soft current. It returns to you filled with strength that does not need noise. Type Amen to get blessing 1414. You find the attic pull cord and feel a calm invitation instead of old hesitation. The ladder unfolds and each rung carries the weight of a decision already made. When you rise, the air is cool and holds the scent of cedar and old paper. A box sits under the slope of the roof, patient and exact. You lift the lid and find a bundle of negatives wrapped in tissue. Shapes glow when you hold them against the light, and the faces look forward as if greeting their future. A small note falls from the bundle and slides to your shoe. You pick it up and read a simple line about remembering the way the house stood when storms came. You understand that every beam was placed with a promise and that promise included you. You put the negatives back like precious seeds and close the box with a gentle press. The attic light clicks off and leaves a clean quiet rather than an emptiness. Your feet find the stairs and the rhythm of descent feels like a blessing coming home. Type Amen to get blessing 1616. In the garden the single oak holds its steady watch and the birds know the schedule. You kneel by the bed of herbs and brush your fingers through their softness. A thin glimmer in the soil catches your eye like a wink. You dig lightly and reveal a small tin, unremarkable to anyone who does not know the language of signs. Inside there is a folded ribbon and a card with 4 short lines. The lines mark the boundaries of your rooms the way a ship marks safe water. You walk the inside perimeter and read each line in each corner. The space listens and settles the way a child rests when a parent hums a simple tune. Clarity fills the thresholds like fresh air replacing a stale hum. You return the tin to its place and press the soil flat with the back of your hand. The earth receives it without swallowing the meaning. You rise, and the light leans in as if to say keep going. Type Amen to get blessing 1818. Evening arrives with long shadows that look like soft blankets. You lift the pendant and let it rest in your palm until it warms to your skin. Then you touch it lightly to the lintel of each doorway and feel a calm spark each time. You set a small glass of water at the center of your table and leave it to collect peace. Around it you place 3 notes: gratitude, release, and welcome. The room understands without needing instruction. Later, sleep gathers like a kind harbor and brings dreams shaped like open fields. You walk those fields without fear and return with hands full of quiet answers. You wake before dawn and none of the answers run away. The first light folds across the floor like silk and stays where it lands. You drink water and feel the night settle behind your shoulders like a finished chapter. Forward is simple and simple is strong. Type Amen to get blessing 2020. News moves through your day like a warm current. The call that used to worry you becomes easy and clear and kind on both sides. The email that asked you to hurry receives your steady yes without taking your breath. You notice old habits walking to the door and turning back because they do not live here anymore. You notice a thought try to dress in fear and choose not to lend it your voice. Silence becomes a tool and not a burden. A friend steps into your entryway and pauses in that instinctive way people do when they feel ease. They sit a little straighter without trying and speak a little softer without losing power. They leave brighter, and the farewell at the doorframe feels like a blessing exchanged. You close the door and the click is clean and whole. The hinges do not complain because the house is well oiled with trust. Your shoulders remain level and your breath remains deep. Type Amen to get blessing 2424. You tidy one shelf and it feels like sorting constellations. The books find their right distance and the trinkets stop asking to be more than they are. Everything returns to honest work and the room glows. A letter arrives with good news shaped exactly for your next step. It is not dramatic and it does not shout, and that is why it is perfect. You place it beneath a paperweight and feel the future exhale. You sit at the table and write the simplest plan you have ever written. 3 actions, each doable, each carrying the weight of a door you already opened. The plan does not demand your sleep and your sleep does not fear the plan. At dusk you light a small can. The hallway learns your new pace and holds it like a trusted rhythm. Frames hang level and the glass looks clearer because your eyes are clear. You feel the floor carry you instead of you carrying the floor. You lift a small notebook and write the date like a calm flag. 3 lines follow, simple and exact, naming what is finished. Your breath agrees and stays even. A neighbor waves from the gate and the shared smile lands without weight. They step onto the threshold and pause because the room answers kindly. Goodness exchanges hands like a natural language. You set a small bowl of salt near the window and let the breeze pass over it. Light gathers on the grains and rests there without hurrying. The air tastes clean and the silence feels bright. Type Amen to get blessing 3030. You open a drawer and find old receipts that no longer ask for attention. You thank the lessons they carried and release the rest. Your chest makes space the way a closet makes space when order returns. The blue cup with the star meets lemon and water and morning ease. You lift it and the first sip writes a quiet yes across your day. Clarity arrives like a friend who knocks softly and waits. The pendant hums near your heart and the hum aligns with your next step. Decisions organize themselves into one steady line. Forward becomes posture instead of effort. You touch each hinge with a drop of oil and movement becomes unforced. Doors open and close with dignity and ease. Even the smallest sounds choose gentleness. Type Amen to get blessing 3434. Rain begins and the roof turns it into a calm drum. You listen without bracing because nothing is asking you to defend. The house answers every drop with gratitude that reaches the beams. You write the names of each room on small slips of paper. Purpose returns to their corners like birds returning to trusted branches. A soft brightness rises from the floor to meet your hands. A subtle knock travels from inside your ribs to the center of the room. You answer by being still and the stillness answers back. Agreement fills the space like warm light. The journal opens to a new page that smells faintly of cedar. You write a lineage of courage that includes your own name. Ink dries into a promise that prefers action over noise. Type Amen to get blessing 3535. At noon a bright square of sunlight sets itself on the floorboards. You pull a chair into that square and read 3 calm pages. Time relaxes and chooses kindness. You choose 3 songs and play them softly so the rooms can listen. Every note fits like a well-made key. The melody teaches your shoulders to rest. A feather drifts down from the bookshelf and refuses to crumble. You tuck it into the journal as a marker of gentleness. The page closes without losing the meaning. The garden breathes through the screens in green syllables. Basil and mint lift their heads like good news. You answer with water and patience. Type Amen to get blessing 3838. A letter arrives from a far branch of the family tree. The handwriting holds reconciliation like a steady bridge. You step onto that bridge and feel would meet foot with trust. You frame a single line from the letter and hang it near the door. Every exit and return passes under that blessing. Welcome becomes the house's first word. You choose one object that carries a heavy memory and let it go. Space exhales and the story softens. Compassion replaces the weight with light. You bake simple bread and the aroma writes forgiveness into the walls. A slice breaks clean and the steam looks like a quiet prayer. You eat slowly and agree with the warmth. Type Amen to get blessing 40/40. Night gathers and the constellations mirror the pattern of your rooms. Window glass becomes a gentle map of steady points. Your eyes rest and the map rests with you. The shield gathers moonlight and settles into silvery calm. It keeps watch without asking to be noticed. You trust its silence because your silence is strong now. You speak 3 slow sentences over the pillows. Sleep receives them like seeds placed in ready soil. Dreams arrive clear and leave you clearer. Morning returns on soft feet and the birds keep time. Your first steps feel like vows that do not strain. Thresholds remember and greet you by name. Type Amen to get blessing 45/45. You mark one day each week for a gentle walk of the house. It is a ritual of looking and thanking and aligning. Ritual becomes the place where ease and attention shake hands. You call a craftsperson to mend a line in the plaster with care. Choosing care over delay feels like listening to wisdom in plain clothes. The wall looks seen and the room looks relieved. You set a small bowl of water by the oak outside. Gratitude crosses the threshold both ways without hurry. Friendship takes root where roots already live. You close the day with 10 minutes of clean silence. It is not empty because presence fills it completely. You enter it like water and rise like light. Type Amen to get blessing 56/56. The morning carries soft gold along the baseboards and the house receives it like a promise kept. You open your eyes and feel the clean weight of simple certainty. Your steps meet the hallway and the hallway meets your steps with mutual trust. You wipe the window panes and the streaks surrender to clarity. Light pours through in calm stripes and rests on the table like quiet music. The scent of fresh water and soap feels like a new page already written. Shoes line up by the door and the threshold remembers every faithful return. Welcome has become the first word the house speaks. Your name answers back and the answer is steady. You write 3 gentle declarations on a small card and tuck it beside the shield. The metal holds them like a lamp holds flame without strain. Every corner of the room nods in agreement you can feel. Type Amen to get blessing 57/57. You open the pantry and let your hand straighten the jars into easy rows. Order becomes kindness rather than control and the shelves breathe easier. Even the label of salt looks more at home. You call someone who waited too long to hear your voice and peace crosses the line between houses. Sentences land where they should and no one reaches for armor. The tone of the room softens like fabric warmed by sun. You write a page of names you carry and release each one like a paper boat into calm water. No name sinks because none were meant to drown. Your chest answers with new space where heaviness used to sit. You walk the boundary of your rooms and feel the oak outside witness the circuit. Your fingertips pass along wood and paint and switch plates like a friendly audit. The house stands a little taller without needing to prove anything. Type Amen to get blessing 58/58. You set a quiet corner for mending and the needle moves with patient intelligence. A small tear closes under your fingers and the fabric thanks you by relaxing. Repair becomes an act of friendship with time. The mail arrives and brings only what serves the next right step. You sort without hurry and place each piece exactly where it goes. Nothing takes more attention than it earns. The kitchen becomes a warm chorus as the pot finds its rhythm. Steam writes new stories into the ceiling and the room holds them gently. You taste and the flavor agrees with your day. At dusk you light a single candle and watch the flames stand without wobble. You enter 10 minutes of clean silence like a clear pool. When you rise, the stillness rises with you and stays. Type Amen to get blessing 60/60. A small drip you once ignored receives careful fixing and the wall exhales. Moisture vanishes and dignity returns to the paint. The house remembers that attention is a kind of bomb. Archangel Michael says your steadiness is protection in plain clothes. He says the doorway you opened will remain open because you have become the door. He says the quiet you keep is not empty because it is full of kept promises. The pendant warms against your chest and aligns the errands of the day into one simple line. You move through the market like a calm tide, choosing what is needed. Coins change hands with ease and thanks. Children laugh in the lane and the sound enters like sunlight with feet. You feel the brightness find its place without bouncing too hard. Joy learns your rooms and stays. Type Amen to get blessing 6262. You sit with a notebook and list only what matters for today. 3 lines become anchors rather than weights. The page looks satisfied and you feel the same. On a shelf you place a bowl with seeds and a note for the coming season. Planting will happen when the soil agrees and not one moment sooner. Patience feels like power wearing soft clothes. Rain returns and the roof turns it into a slow heartbeat you can rest to. You eat warm food and the bowl becomes a small harbor. Even the spoon seems to lift gratitude from the steam. Sleep arrives on settled wings and the pillows hold your name kindly. Dreams drift through like gentle visitors and leave footprints of ease. You wake with answers shaped like small doors already open. Type Amen to get blessing 6868. Morning crosses the threshold with a serene face. You choose a fresh cloth and give the table a slow spiral of attention. The wood shines like a memory made new. You receive an invitation to host a simple gathering and the house smiles with you. Preparation becomes a game of placing kindness in practical places. Cups line up like friends and plates learn patience. In the guest room you lay clean linen that holds the scent of sun. A glass of water waits on the nightstand with a folded note of welcome. Space itself practices hospitality. You sit in a chair that finally fits your back the right way. Your spine agrees with truth and the truth is gentle. Forgiveness sits down beside you and both of you are quiet. Type Amen to get blessing 7070. You choose a weekend hour for paint and touch up a corner that needed your eye. Color returns to itself without drama. The wall looks finished and the room looks content. Music hums at a respectful volume and the air learns the melody. You sway once in the kitchen and the floor enjoys the dance. Joy travels from heel to ceiling and back again. Tea leaves open in the pot like small umbrellas of calm. You pour into the blue cup with the star and wait a moment. Patience sweetens the first sip beyond sugar. Archangel Michael says your home is now fluent in peace and you are fluent in home. He says you recognize counterfeit storms before the first drop arrives. He says your thresholds remember your yes and guard it. Type Amen to get blessing 7171. Late afternoon light writes a soft diagonal across the rug. You follow it with a broom and gather what no longer belongs. Release becomes ordinary and stays ordinary. A notebook near the door keeps a log of simple victories. You add a line about the repaired hinge and the kind phone call. The page glows with small weighty truths. You place a small stone from your garden on the sill as a marker of grounded days. It sits without needing attention and does its quiet work. You like how it looks like a period at the end of a calm sentence. A dear friend visits and notices the hush that is not empty. Conversation chooses depth without force and humor arrives without sharpness. When they leave, the doorway keeps the warmth like a coat on a hook. Type Amen to get blessing 8080. You open the journal and draw a simple map of how your evenings unfold now. Arrows point to reading and to stretching and to lights out at a kindness hour. The map feels like a song you already know by heart. A breeze lifts the curtain and carries a scent of jasmine from the yard. You let it pass through without grabbing and it returns once more as if waving. Cycles become companions instead of puzzles. You move one chair 2 inches and the room exhales with relief. Proportion teaches your eye to trust itself. Balance settles like dust that shines. Night spreads slow velvet along the windows and the shield catches a line of moon. The line steadies you the way a horizon steadies a traveler. You turn off the last lamp and the dark remains friendly. Type Amen to get blessing 8282. You rise before dawn and find the house already awake in a soft way. Water runs in a clean thread and the kettle answers with a faithful whisper. Steam curls like a small banner of peace. You write 3 thank yous to yourself for yesterday's courage. Self-respect finds the chair across from you and sits without fidgeting. The room smiles in a way only you can see. You set a small schedule for tending plants and surfaces. Cloth and leaf both answer with quiet shine. Routine becomes devotion without ceremony. A message arrives granting closure you once thought impossible. It lands and does not splash because the lake is calm. You nod and the house nods back. Type Amen to get blessing 8484. You walk the outer path by the fence and listen for what asks to be mended. A loose board receives 2 careful nails and stands true again. The boundary feels both softer and stronger. Inside, you clear a drawer that was a museum for lost things. Each item finds a purpose, a place, or a gentle goodbye. Weight lifts like morning fog in sunlight. You frame a small photo of the oak and set it by the shield. The friendship between tree and home becomes visible. Roots and roof agree in a single sentence. You sit with a simple puzzle and complete it without rush. The last piece slides home like a promise fulfilled. Contentment settles where accomplishment used to shout. Type Amen to get blessing 9090. You bake another loaf and the kitchen learns the rhythm even better. Crust turns gold and the knife glides without crumbs scattering. Sharing slices becomes a ritual of warmth. A raincoat hangs ready by the door as a sign of thoughtful living. Preparation no longer tastes like fear because it tastes like care. Your future self thanks you from the hallway. You place a bowl of fruit at the center of the table like a small sun. Color gathers the family of rooms into one conversation. Even silence feels nourished. You write a single line on the mirror that tells the day how to hold you. The line is gentle and exact and enough. Reflection meets it and both of you agree. Type Amen to get blessing 9191. You notice the clock keep time with new trustworthiness. Minutes do not chase or drag because the house has learned pace. You carry that pace into your work like a lantern. A plant that once leaned toward the window now stands upright. Roots have taken hold in the deeper soil you gave it. Flourish becomes the natural result of right placement. A knock at noon brings news of a door you once closed that now opens with better terms. You read the note twice and feel alignment rather than urgency. Choice arrives and bows to your discernment. You wash the teacup slowly and set it on the rack like a small ceremony. Clean water leaves a bright trail that evaporates into memory. Care lingers longer than the droplets. Type Amen to get blessing 9494. You rearrange the bookshelf by color and weight and kindness. Stories sit beside each other like neighbors who share tools. The room looks surprisingly lighter. A quiet hour holds space for learning one new small skill. Practice turns awkwardness into friendliness. Your hands thank you for patience. You take a brief walk around the block and return with clear eyes. The doorknob greets your hand like a handshake with history. Home completes the circle without drama. A soft note of cedar rises again from the journal pages. You add today's little victories with a pencil that glides. The ledger of peace grows richer. Type Amen to get blessing 9898.